Well, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me all right? Fabulous. So thank you so much, Lindsay, for inviting me and being so creative in a way that I could reach out to everybody, continue to still reach out to one another and get this information out. I know that people are very curious about it, so I'm glad to share. Just a little bit about myself. I've been a medical social worker for 33 plus years. I am an adjunct professor for the last 20 plus years. And when I hit that nice ripe age, I'm not going to say it because this is going to be on TV, but when I hit that age, I said, what am I going to be when I grow up? I said, I'm going to combine that medical social work and the professor, and I'm going to do community health education. So that's what brought me here. I do want to put out a disclaimer because as a professor, I'm all about citing my resources. And though I am involved and have my own business with Canaway CBD, there are a lot of other CBD companies out there. And so my main purpose is to educate you about CBD in general, but I can only really educate you from my knowledge base about this specific product. And you can use that as a template to compare your products that you use in your own daily lives. Or if you're interested in learning more about this, we can talk at another time. So if everybody's okay with that, I'll make disclaimers and kind of do a little bit reminder. But as again, an educator, I like to cite my resources and continue to let you know that a lot of this information and research was done by Canaway and by trusted doctors and researchers. So I want to be able to let them have credit. Without further ado, I'm going to share my screen, and bear with me because I practice with my 13-year-old son on sharing the screen with you. And what I'm sharing, and I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint slide. You can take notes while we're going along, but I'm also going to recap it with a little bit of video, a 3-minute video here and a 2-minute video at the end, just to kind of encapsulate it. So again, the resource that I'm using right now that provided us with all of this great information is Canaway. But let's get to the brass tacks. Everybody wants to know, what is cannabis? You know, people get confused and it's easily understood. Cannabis is actually the name of the group of plants. And there are different families in that group. And if you think about it, if you talk about the example of citrus, and you have that being the group, citrus, and you have a family of different types of fruit. So you have grapefruits, oranges, lemons, and limes. And obviously, those species are all different. Agree? So knowing that, if you think about cannabis in the same regard, it's a group of plants, but they're different species. And those two different species that I'll be talking to you today about is understanding the difference between hemp and marijuana. I think it's a big misnomer, and believe me, there are many healthcare providers that have a stigma attached to it because it's not well known about the differences between marijuana and hemp. It's widely confused. So the way I like to explain it is that hemp is the healthy without the high. Marijuana, just in the actual plant itself, is a shorter plant, it's bushier, and it's really just grown for that psychoactive property. A lot of people use it medicinally now. It has the THC, which is that psychoactive concentration that provides that high and all the other effects. But hemp, because it's in the same family, it still has THC in it, but it is not a psychoactive. It's not the concentration that the marijuana has. And so it's one of those things where hemp is actually industrial. You can use it for many things. You can use it for clothing. You can use it for paper. Ford actually built a car and made fuel out of it. So there are many industrial uses of the whole. You can use the entire hemp plant. And that was something that I found very interesting, that you can use the entirety of its plant as very green, very healthy, environment friendly. Now, again, I'm just going to recap again because this is a lot of information. I want to really drive home that information or that key point that hemp derived from CBD is not something that will provide you with a high. So I sometimes have people come up to me and say, you know, Kathleen, I tried CBD, but it made me feel funny. I felt kind of funny. And the reason for that, I ask, well, first of all, where did you get your CBD? And they say from a dispensary. So just a point of note, when you buy any product from a dispensary, they are all marijuana products. That is what the law and that is what they petition to be able to sell. The marijuana dispensaries didn't include hemp, so they don't sell hemp products. They're supposed to sell marijuana products. So something to take note of, because nowadays, as you know, you've seen it on TV, you've seen it at the corner store, you've seen it in the gas stations, or just some of those specialty stores. You have them everywhere. It says CBD lotion, CBD gummy bears, all these different varieties of CBD products. So it's very important to know what type of CBD product that is. So why is hemp just coming about now? Everybody thinks that it's a new fad. Well, that's interesting because it actually isn't a new fad. Back in Chinese times, like back in the early ages of 2217 or whatever BC, Chinese emperors were using it as medical interventions, as for medicinal use. In fact, in the 1850s, we ourselves in the United States used hemp to address certain maladies like menstrual cramps and headaches and the average pain. It was in the pharmacopoeia, as you can see here on that list here, 1850. In 1937, however, this is where history says, you know what? Marijuana Taxation Act, I'm going to now make marijuana illegal in the United States. Kind of like that idea of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. People, again, having the stigma and the stereotype of not knowing the difference between hemp and marijuana. So they kind of just put hemp in that category. And so hemp was no longer able to be grown so easily. It was very expensive, and that no longer became part of our pharmacology. What happened and what introduced, and historically, how did hemp come back into the United States and be reintroduced, is ironically the company from which I work. And I use that disclaimer again because Dr. Stewart Titus is an actual physician, and he had Lyme's disease. He wanted to look at a more natural way of addressing the side effects of his Lyme disease symptoms. And he did a lot of research, and he came about hemp. And so he and some forefronters petitioned to the United States and helped hemp to become legal again in the United States. I want you to take a note that it's Cannaway's mission, but when you're looking at products, I want you to really take note of what the mission of the companies where you're receiving your products are from. What is their mission statement? You know, are they green? Are they in it for education? Are they in it for research? It's really important to understand what the basis of the mission statement is. I mean, you know, it makes a difference about the product and about the quality. You can tell a lot by what they're trying to stand for. So this is Dr. Stewart Titus. He was the one that said that that hemp was no longer, it wasn't allowed in the United States, and he really felt very strongly that it was going to help, it was going to be innovative and help our country and all the people in it, in the medical field and otherwise. And so he wanted to make sure that the processes in collecting, so this is something that you should be looking for when you're looking at your products, how the harvest is collected of your hemp. And that's important to note because, again, hemp is a supplement. It's not a medicine. And so it's not FDA regulated. And Dr. Stewart Titus wanted to make sure, working with National Institute of Health and other legislatures, to make sure that there was some type of regulatory body that was looking at hemp because it's not FDA, because, again, it's a supplement. So what was formed was the Hemp Seal of Authority. And only 14 companies in the United States, one of which is ours, holds that hemp seal of approval. So that's something else that you want to look for when you're buying a product. Does it have that hemp seal authority approval? Right now, I'm going to exit this particular screen and I'm going to switch over to a quick video. It's about 3 minutes. Feel free to take notes. And what I'll do is when we get to that point, we're going to recap the highlights back when we go back to my, when we go back to the PowerPoint. So bear with me while it queues up.
The existence of hemp can be found throughout.
Sorry for the technical difficulty.
Food, medicine, elixir, textile. Hemp is thought by some to be the first crop domesticated by our ancestors. In ancient India, it was blended with milk and spices into a drink believed to aid digestion, relieve fever, and ease dysentery. Some thought it made the body more alert, calling it the nectar of the gods. Beginning in the mid-1800s, hemp oil was a natural part of the American pharmacopoeia, prescribed for everything from cramps to chronic seizures. After the 1930s, taxes made hemp too expensive to grow, and farmers mostly abandoned the crop. Hemp became more scarce. Cannabinoids all but disappeared from the food chain, and Americans became deficient in cannabinoids. Cannabidiol is a naturally occurring chemical compound found in plants like echinacea, flax, and of course hemp. In this form, it's referred to as a phytocannabinoid. But plants aren't the only source. Cannabinoids also exist in the human body and can even be found in breast milk. Some researchers contend they play a critical role in early childhood development. Regardless of the source, cannabinoids work in conjunction with the body's endocannabinoid system, also known as the ECS. The ECS is a network of cannabinoid receptors found in the mammalian brain and abdominal organs. This system plays a key role in regulating many natural functions, including mood, sleep, and appetite. Present from even the earliest stages of fetal development, the ECS predominantly consists of endocannabinoid receptors located in both the central and peripheral nervous systems. CB1 receptors in the central nervous system combine with the brain's nerve cells to help regulate the body's biochemistry. Both endocannabinoids and phytocannabinoids bind to these receptor points to control the passage of proteins between cells. CB2 receptors in the peripheral nervous system are mostly found on white blood cells, in the tonsils, and in the spleen. Cannabinoids that bind to these sites help modulate the immune system response to disease and injury. Research has shown that cannabidiol has the potential to reduce inflammation and protect critical cells against oxidation. However, with a lack of cannabidiol in the food supply and the tendency for endogenous cannabinoids to degrade within the human body, most people are deficient in these important compounds. This absence of cannabinoids has led researchers to establish a condition known as clinical endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. A diet rich in phytocannabinoids, such as high concentration hemp oils and hemp seeds, may offset this deficiency. The discovery of cannabinoids and the endocannabinoid system has forced the scientific community to rethink how many of our most debilitating diseases function and how to treat them. As it turns out, so many of us are deficient in this fundamental substance that plays a key role in keeping our bodies balanced and healthy. These receptors are an intrinsic part of who we are, leading us to ask, are we starved of cannabinoids?
Okay, did everybody get that? It's a lot to digest, I know. So I'm going to recap. I'm going to share another screen here. We're going to go back to our PowerPoint. And I'm going to share with you. So why CBD? A lot of people are saying, why CBD? Well, A lot of people are feeling the need to really go that holistic, something that is all natural. And as Dr. Stewart Titus said, it naturally occurs in our body. And we can eat it in some of things like flaxseed, but we would have to eat copious amounts of flaxseed to be able to have the dietary need, or the dietary that we would need for maintaining that deficiency. So it's really important to understand that people just realize, just like the regulatory systems in our body, like the muscular system, the nervous system, the skeletal system, we have an endocannabinoid system. And like Dr. Stewart Titus referred to, it creates homeostasis. It keeps all of us in balance. It's helping to balance our mood, our appetite, our sleep, and hormone production. And it is naturally an anti-inflammatory. And so most disease processes are an inflammatory condition. So it's important to note that CBD does address that. Very good. So the ECS, it literally means the cannabinoid system inside your body. And it's hemp-derived CBD oil that helps to balance it. It makes the connectors talk to one another. And when you're talking about what he was talking about, is because we used to have hemp in our pharmacology. It used to be in our plants, so then it was in our soil, and we no longer had it since 1857 Taxation Act, that we're deprived of this particular thing. Just like if you were deprived of vitamin C or vitamin D, it's just kind of like that. If you could think of it comparably, it's a supplement that we're missing in our diet. So that being said, most people tend to be deficient of CBD. Now, I refer to this because there are so many different types of products out there. And, like I said, lotions, chapstick, sprays, soaps. But in this particular company, and I refer to this again as a vantage point for you to defer and compare and contrast. It's very simple what's out there, and this can help you identify what types of products that you're looking for when you go out into the world and you see something in the store and say, well, what kind of CBD product this is. So there are 3 key ingredients that we use in our products, and it's the green oil, the blue oil, and the gold oil. It's very simple because we try to be the purest, if you would. The green oil, that is just the whole entire plant. If you thought about taking the hemp plant, putting it into a blender, mixing it all up, it would be all of that. And it has all of the natural phytocannabinoids that occur in hemp. So you're getting the benefit of the whole plant. The blue hemp oil, by the way, and I think this is cause for really great understanding, is that CBD oil, our blue hemp oil, is actually in the PDR, the provider's digital reference. It used to be called the physician's desk reference, but it's the provider's desk digital reference. And it was something that our company really pushed to say people really need this particular hemp CBD, but it wasn't legal yet. So they introduced it to the United States National Institute of Health, and they were able to petition to get this in the PDR. It's still a supplement, but physicians can actually prescribe it. And this particular oil is just a pure isolate. It is only CBD and a carrier oil. That's important to note, that some things, when you look at the ingredients on the back of your products that you're purchasing, that you look at the types of, there's so many different things, and I know you can see all the different types of oils and things that end with an 8 or an ing or something that to that effect, but you can see in the products, if they're just few products, that it is the purest type of product that you're introducing to your body. And the gold hemp oil, again, is what was very interesting. This is also how you should be looking at when you're buying your products of CBD, is how is the hemp CBD extracted? Very important. Kannaway knew it was very important not to introduce any type of toxins in the extrapolation process. So it researched and they patented a decarboxylation process, which means they heated it up in order to remove the hemp. So they didn't introduce what most people use as ethanol or alcohol or other toxic products to remove the CBD from the actual plant. So it's very important to know. And I'm gonna just, for a disclaimer, kind of show you, there's so many different products out there. There are protein powders and there are oils and capsules and facial skincare lines and essential oils. Again, looking at the ingredients on the back of your product, make sure you look at what are those key things that are popping out to you. If you don't know what that product or that ingredient is, maybe you shouldn't be introducing it to your body or do research on it. So I'm going to, again, defer back to another screen. And then this is a short video follow-up. This is just a 2-minute video.
Have you considered the complexities of your body's response to everyday activities? Take something simple, like running. Everyone has their theory about what makes a healthy body. What makes one lifestyle better than another? Some of them may be true, others maybe not. But we know that phytocannabinoids play an essential role in helping our bodies maintain an internal state of balance. When our endocannabinoid systems are nourished, we sleep better, we're focused, and our moods become more stable. Our bodies were built for cannabinoids. We have an entire system designed to receive cannabidiol for the purposes of regulating the body's internal systems. Currently, Canna Life Sciences is developing a cannabinoid-based treatment as an antioxidant and neuroprotectant for the brain. With a license from the National Institutes of Health, Canna Life Sciences is creating cannabinoid therapies for chronic traumatic encephalopathy and hepatic encephalopathy. In Amsterdam, Axum Biotechnologies is changing the game when it comes to pain management. Treatments using newly discovered types of cannabinoids are in development for a variety of neurological disorders. When you experience what a well-balanced endocannabinoid system feels like, what will you find? Will you discover something within you that you didn't realize you had? When you nourish your body with phytocannabinoids, how will you thrive?
Okay. So to wrap up, I'm going to review, where did it go? I'm going to review the actual key points that you should be looking for when you buy a CBD product. All right, we're doing good here. All right, so what's important? A hemp plant is a bioaccumulator. And what does that mean? The plant is very tall and stocky, and it has very deep roots, and it actually absorbs all of the nutrients in the soil. So it's very important to know what is in that soil. Think about the differences in the regulations between the United States and Europe. In Europe, they ban over 1,116 toxic products in their farming. In the United States, they only ban about 11. So imagine what you're farming and what the soil is allowed to be in your farming. That's something to think about. This particular company actually went and researched all the types of farms in Europe and was able to find a 400-year-old farm that was family owned of hemp, and that's all it's grown for the last 400 years. And it was tested and tested again to make sure that the cultivation and the CBD that you'd be receiving would be always uniform. So that's something you want to look at in your products when you're shopping, is where did your CBD come from? You know, a lot of people are organic and from the United States, and that's great. But to note again, there are only 11 toxic products that are being banned in the United States for farming. So you want to be very careful about, you know, do you know where you're farming in the United States? And if it was in your backyard, how long have you been living there? And do you know the history of it? So that's important to know. Process is important. We talked about that. Looking at all the different toxins or chemicals that they use to remove the CBD from the hemp. That's also very important. Or when somebody's making a product like a soap or an oil or a lotion, are they cooking out the CBD? So are you really getting soap or lotion or any of those products with CBD in it, or did they cook it all out? Because it does evaporate at a certain temperature. Another thing to look for is testing. And our company, I have to share as a comparison, we triple lab test it, and that's so that we make sure that every single product is the same amount of CBD in the product. So it has consistency and it has the same amount all the time. And that's really important to the company. It should be important to the company and the products that you're also buying out in the world. So the three things or so that I think are the top three would be, is it triple lab tested or tested in any particular way? How is that done? Does it have the U.S. Hemp Authority certification? And again, one of 14 companies has that in the United States. So you'll be able to find 13 other companies that have that U.S. Hemp Seal of Authority. And is it, well, ours is included in the PGR, but you know, again, it's something to note whether or not the credibility of the products that you're choosing to keep on looking. At this time, this particular company, Canaway, has a certification of analysis where you can scan it and know what products are in there. So that's really important. Does the product that you're buying out there also have a certification of analysis code to find out what's in your products? I put this out here because obviously these are reliable resources. You've seen a lot of these magazines and online and TV shows sharing about CBD and people's experiences. It's important to note. JAMA did a study in 2017 and did a study about what type of, how much CBD was actually in CBD products. And they found up to 70% of those products did not have the ingredients that were listed. So it's really important, again, reminding yourselves and being educated that being not FDA regulated, you're looking for something with some authority and the key points to choosing your CBD. I share this with you. This is an independent organization that just collects all the types of CBD research. I thought it was a really good resource. They're an entrepreneur, of course. They're non-for-profit. They raise monies for children, as you can see, children to have CBD for their medical ailments or diseases or maladies. But what I love about this particular site, ecoconnections.org, ECHO-connections.org, is that you can actually go on their site and look up anywhere from A to Z, the type of research studies that they've pulled together about CBD and a particular ailment. Something, for example, anxiety, I know sleep is in there, depression, I think anti-inflammation. So those are types of research studies that are available. They're not by my company or any particular company. They're just collected overall CBD, like a CBD research library. And this particular company, again, being non-for-profit, it's helped lots of families, and I know this number has gone up more since this has been pulled together, but they help other families, young people, get their CBD so they can get well. Does anybody have any questions? I know there were a couple before we got started, so I'd love to dig in.
All right, so I will let you know that there was a question, how to decide the dosage.
Very good question. So remember that you hopefully are being followed by a physician, and that's really important. Your doctor should be aware. A lot of people ask questions, are there contraindications? And contraindications meaning, are there any side effects of taking it with something else? So remember that essentially CBD hemp is a natural anti-inflammatory. So you tell your doctor what you're taking. You always need to let your doctor know whatever supplements you're on, and they ask you to do that too, whatever vitamins that you're taking. Depending on what, and so it would really depend on what you're taking on the side, you know, for your other ailments, what your maladies are, and what you would be taking it for. So we really don't try to say what dosage you should take. But I will share with you that as you learned in the PowerPoint, that we are deficient of CBD. And what that means is actually that we need to fill our pockets, like those vitamins or those supplements fill our pockets of CBD. And once we meet that supplement need in our bodies, we can actually taper. So that means you can start taking less of the CBD and then just stay on a maintenance dose. So I usually answer it's best to have a one-to-one consultation with a community health educator. I don't like to make any disclaimers, but I will share with you that this Saturday, which is very exciting, and I'll invite you and I'll share it with Lindsay. I know I had shared it with her already, that my business partner, who is a renowned author, nutritionist, and CBD health educator, will be providing a webinar on CBD, weight loss, and healthy eating. So we'll be doing different highlights, different topics, so that people can get a concentration or a focus. But she might be somebody you might want to reach out to and ask questions specifically, and we can provide those types of consultations, or ask your doctor.
The next question was cost.
Very good question. So cost is always a question for anything that you're buying, especially when you're talking supplements. And you know there are brand names out there, and you know that you get what you pay for. I think that's the best analogy. Are they affordable? Well, if you do the numbers, depending on the type of product that you take. So there's affordability for anybody depending on how they take the supplement. I'll tell you, I can speak specifically to Kannaway, but if you want to look at other products, they may also have comparable products. So I can only share an example. The highest end, I said, of the spectrum of cost in our line of CBD is the paste, because it's the most concentrated. And as I referred to the PowerPoint, we have a blue, a green, and a gold oil, or blue, green, and oil paste. And so the paste is the most concentrated. You get the most bang for your buck. It lasts longer, but it also costs the most. But you might end up making out because it lasts longer. So you get, you stretch it out. Some people aren't very good tactilely with a paste, so they like an oil. It's easier. The best way to take CBD, by the way, is sublingually. So that's why people like the paste and the oil. And the reason for taking CBD sublingually is because it absorbs directly into the bloodstream. And it's okay if you take it in a capsule form, if you're adverse to tactilely, if you don't, you can't swallow the oil or the paste, or you don't like a taste, you like a capsule instead. But when you take a capsule, it takes longer to fill your pockets because you're ingesting it. So it goes through your whole digestive system. It gets filtered through the liver. You still get your CBD, but it takes longer to get there and fill your pockets. So I would say the affordability depends on what you're already taking. Talking again about, if you're like, for me, I had migraines. I can tell you my experience. I had severe migraines, debilitating migraines, that 5 to 7 days a week, blinded in one eye, had an office that was dark. It was debilitating. I ended up being introduced to it by a healthcare provider friend of mine who was giving education. And I was like, oh, I feel hesitant to take any drugs because I was on the same bandwagon with the stereotypes that I didn't know the difference between hemp and marijuana. But I had a migraine that day on the day of the education seminar. And I took an oil sublingually, and it provided me relief. And that's all I needed. I was thinking to myself, what a great alternative than to taking ibuprofen or acetaminophen, to which I'm allergic and gives me hives. And of course, taking aspirin, I couldn't do that 7 days a week. So I really needed to find something. I can knock on wood that I have not had a migraine since taking CBD. So that's my testament. It's an anti-inflammatory. I also suffer with mild arthritis, and it also helped with that. I don't have difficulty getting up and walking in the morning. It's just a wonderful added bonus. As well, for menopause, having gone through menopause and finished with menopause, thank goodness, you still have those residual symptoms of sleeplessness and mood. And I can honestly say that I sleep wonderfully. So these are all wonderful benefits. I actually just tried it for my migraines, and it had all these other benefits to accompany it. So to me, it was worth it. And I'm not big on the paste tactilely, but I can take the oil, no problem. So it's just a matter of your taste.
The next question was availability during the pandemic. Has that changed or?
Oh, that's a great question. So it's I actually my whole business of CBD is online. So with other products, I'm sure there's some online or magazine, but I have a website, and my other business partners have websites, and you can just order online. It gets delivered to your home. If you're practicing the precautions, you just leave your package for 24 hours or 48 hours in your garage, and then you can open it. And then just wipe off your bottle or your box and take your CBD. It's great.
Okay. Someone asked, is this similar to serotonin reuptake medications?
So it's not a medication. I always like to keep on saying that. CBD is not a medication. It's a supplement. I can't say that it's comparable to serotonin, but I can tell you that CBD assists in creating the homeostasis and assists with good sleep. So if that's what you're looking for. And also it creates your body's equilibrium. So it decreases inflammation. Again, it helps with sleep and with mood naturally. So it's something that occurs naturally in your body already. It's just that we're depleted from it because we don't have it in our pharmacology as we did before 1837. So I don't really make claim to fame. As a medical social worker, I only speak to the actual testimonials and the brass tacks from research studies that I defer to. But you can actually talk to your doctor and see what would be more comparable for your intake, serotonin versus CBD.
And what does the approval code look like on the package?
So the approval code on the package, it says hemp seal of authority, and it's a letter H. And I apologize, I don't have I should have thought to put it. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can ask my son to go get a box. Caleb, would you mind getting one of the boxes of CBD on the counter? We'll see if he can Vanna White that for us. What's also important too, if you don't see the hemp seal of authority on a product, is see if you can do the certification of analysis code. Our smartphones have it. Because anybody who's tech savvy can scan it, and it should actually tell you what ingredients are in it.
I'm wondering what oil do you take?
the blue, the gold,
Oh,
the
good
green?
question. That's very good question. Again, I have migraines and I have sleeping issues and I have arthritis. So I use the gold. The gold. My husband works in construction. And he started out with the pure blue oil because it's an isolate and it only has CBD in it and a carrier oil. Which is comparable to your skin, like jojoba, MCT oil, that kind of thing. So it doesn't have a lot of products in it or ingredients. And he gets randomly drug tested as a crane operator. So he uses the pure blue oil. We try to have weekly presentations. They're good webinars. They kind of do all in one. They do the presentation about what CBD is. And I know this is a lot of information for everybody. So we do have that resource available. It also introduces the opportunity, if you're looking for that, to offset costs. But really, it's about the content, about learning about CBD. And as an educator, it takes about 3 introductions of information to be able to really digest all of that knowledge. So I welcome you to join me on Saturday. And if you're interested, please let Lindsay know. And share, if you want to share your email address, I'll invite you to all upcoming webinars. My business partner, like I said, she's a renowned nutritionist and author. She works with doctors and does all of the education modules for CBD. So she's going to be the presenter for a lot of the series that we're going to put together, which is great.
Oh, yay.
Faster than I thought. So this is, can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Is it backwards?
No.
Okay, perfect. All right, I flipped the view. So this is a pure CBD box. On the back, you have all of the ingredients, and you see the scan code here. That's the certification of analysis code that you can scan. It should tell you the ingredients. And this right here in the corner, let me see. Vanna White it. Can you see that? It's an H. So that's the hemp seal of authority. You should be looking for that. And again, like I said, there are 14 other companies that do it. There are only 2 companies that do from soil to sale. Okay. And I thought, you know, again, when I was researching, my dad's he's since passed just recently, but in August, but he was a retired general practitioner and surgeon. And when I started, before I took the CBD, I wanted to be sure I spoke with Dad and ask his opinion. And he said, if you did all your research, and it's NIH, National Institute of Health, and a doctor is the one who did the research, and they're not the only ones who have researched, then you can try the product. I'd be comfortable with you trying. So that's what you should be looking for. Do your due diligence, your homework. I'm available for questions. I can't guarantee that I know all about other products that exist out there, but I'm happy to defer the questions to my resident expert, Chelsea Newman, who's the nutritionist, and we can pull something together. And if you're really interested in wanting to learn again or more, and you say, gee, my girlfriend or my guy friend or my daughter or didn't get to see this, you can email me and request. I'm happy to do a Zoom education like this again. It's not a problem.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kathleen. And hopefully LCT recorded too for anyone who missed it, so people can reach out to me too.
All right. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope to see you again.